strengthened by consulting others, unions, companies, and Canadians. By other challenges is that while others on these permanent regulations...
Order. Order. I am going to have to interrupt the Parliament Secretary there. I should have given him a heads up that we would be doing this partway through his remarks. We're going now to statements by members, but he will have the remaining time in this period for his speech when we get back to debate on this subject, likely later this day. So we'll now go to statements by members. Déclaration de député, l'honorable député de Pierrefonds.
The honourable member for Pierrefonds-Dollard.
Mr. Speaker, World Immunization Week is celebrated every year in the last week of April. Diseases once feared, diphtheria, measles, polio, and smallpox are under control and in some places eradicated because of vaccines. However, the COVID pandemic is currently ravaging India through a severe second wave. This serves as a stark reminder of the importance of immunization through vaccination. We're all in this together. Canada has stepped up to help India with $10 million in funding through the Red Cross. Domestically, our government announced an investment of $2.25 million through the Immunization Partnership Fund. This is to support vaccine uptake by ensuring Canadians have access to credible vaccination information and to manage pain and fear. Through sound public education, effective vaccination campaigns, and robust international cooperation, let's make global vaccination a reality.
Member for Port Moody, Coquitlam.
Mr. Speaker, Alex is a visitor from Israel who's staying in Vancouver to care for a sick 90-year-old mother. When he first arrived in Canada, he was detained and scheduled for deportation the next morning. When I intervened in person at the airport immigration office, I was told Alex hadn't applied for exemption to enter Canada, but in fact he had applied twice. So I asked Alex to apply again. He made 5 more attempts, but PHAC's system didn't receive any of his submissions. After Alex made 4 more attempts the next day, PHAC's system finally acknowledged receipt of his application, and Alex was allowed to stay in Canada. Mr. Speaker, I wonder how many visitors that came to Canada for compassionate reasons were sent home because of technical glitches on PHAC's system. How many are patiently waiting exemption papers while PHAC has no idea they've applied? Could the minister please look into the efficacy of PHAC's online system to ensure visitors like Alex aren't unduly deported and sick Canadians like his mother can get the care they need? Thank you.
The honourable member for Oakville North, Burlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. April is Cancer Month, or Daffodil Month. Nearly 1 in 2 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. It was 32 years ago that my mom died of leukemia. My dad was a 25-plus year survivor of colon cancer. And last year I talked about my sister Jill undergoing treatment for breast cancer. Well, Mr. Speaker, she's finished and she is doing just great. I was thrilled to see $30 million in Budget 2021 for childhood cancer research, and I look forward to what pediatric oncologists like Dr. David Melkin can do with this funding so that we don't lose children like Avery Castor, Tegan Walsh, and Carson Clapham. I applaud the Terry Fox Research Institute and the Marathon of Hope Cancer Centers, who received $150 million in Budget 2019, and the work of cancer researchers across Canada who are doing groundbreaking work to kick cancer's butt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, it's my pleasure today to pay tribute to the board, volunteers, and staff of Lush Valley Food Action Society on Central Vancouver Island. Created in 2000, Lush Valley helps people gain local food systems, skills, knowledge, and access to good food. They believe good food is a vehicle for empowerment, social justice, celebration, and community well-being. The scope of Lush Valley grows each year and now includes a fruit tree and farm gleaning program utilizing volunteers to share the harvest and ensure good food doesn't go to waste. A Share the Harvest community garden helping people to learn to grow their own food. Healthy food programs teaching all ages to cook healthy meals and appreciate local food. A food share program providing hot meals and good food boxes to vulnerable populations during the COVID-19 pandemic. And importantly, ongoing advocacy with all levels of government to grow our local economy by supporting farmers and producers to address food security. Mr. Speaker, thanks to all those who work so hard with Lush Valley to ensure food security for so many in our communities.
Député d'Alfred Pellan.
The Honourable Member for Alfred Pellan. Mr. Speaker, the National Day of Sports and Physical Activities will take place on May 2nd. I got a head start this year by participating in the Alter Go Sports Challenge. The goal of this event is to promote adapted sport and healthy lifestyles. In addition, the challenge uses sports to promote the inclusion of people with functional limitations. This year, the challenge reinvented itself by moving to a hybrid edition. This was a first for the challenge, which moved to Laval in the Leblanc Secondary School in my riding. The morning included a mini marathon for 50 young athletes. Regardless of the distance, they showed courage, enthusiasm, and perseverance. Congratulations to these young athletes who exerted themselves and overcame during the challenge. You are inspiring. I'm looking forward to seeing you again during the next edition of the challenge. The Honourable Member for Montmagny, Lillé, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to underscore the retirement of Ms. Hélène Leclerc, who was a staffer of mine for many years. She was a pillar in our service to the community since 2015. She showed excellent customer service skills, as has been raised by my constituents on many occasions. Her attention to detail and rigor over the years have enabled the entire team to improve our work ethic. I would like to thank her for her outstanding professionalism. I would like to wish for her a wonderful retirement with her friends and loved ones. This has been a difficult year for Quebecers and Canadians, and it's been difficult professionally for all of our parliamentary employees, whether on the Hill or in our ridings. They have shown great loyalty and devotion, and they have helped us defend our constituents' interests. I'd like to thank Hélène once again for her commitment to Canadians and Quebecers. Her work was crucial and very important for us and for everyone in my riding. Have a wonderful retirement.
Mr. Speaker, this has been a really tough year on everyone, but recent research from Sick Kids Hospital has shown that children and youth have experienced a unique variety of negative impacts on their mental health because of COVID-19. Greater stress from feeling isolated, the cancellation of sports, other events, and in-person class, and just not being able to hang out have all caused increased anxiety, depression, and irritability. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 sucks. It sucks for everybody, but that's especially true for kids and youth. It's so important that Canadian youth know two things. First, this is temporary. We're going to get through this. Things are going to get way better really soon. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And second, it's okay not to be okay. In fact, right now, it's totally normal not to be okay, and there's help available. If you're in Milton, the Reach Out Center for Kids is at rockonline.ca. There's also wellnesstogether.ca and Kids Help Phone over text at 686868. It's free and 24/7. For over a year, we've been apart, but you're not alone. Please take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and always remember, you're loved.
Member for Humber River, Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are nearing the 9th anniversary of the imprisonment of human rights advocate Raif Badawi. Mr. Badawi and his wife fell under a fraudulent investigation in Saudi Arabia by Saudi authorities. These types of investigations occur as part of a crackdown on political prisoners in Saudi Arabia. This is not the first time that I have raised Mr. Badawi's case. Canada has stood firmly in demanding for the release of human rights campaigners throughout the world, especially those imprisoned in Saudi Arabia. I speak today at a time of renewed possibility for global leadership and collaboration on human rights, a potential for greater coexistence in the Middle East, a step towards an effort to restore trust and respect in human rights. Saudi Arabia must release Raif, Samar, and Walid Badawi. Raif should be allowed to rejoin his family here in Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mission Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This past Saturday, the residents of Mission, BC voted in a mayoral by-election and selected Paul Horn as their representative. Congratulations on your victory, Paul. In all, 6 candidates put their names on the ballot and presented their vision for the future. It was an exceptional campaign. Thank you, Earl, Rhett, Dave, Colin, and Nelson. All the campaigns brought forward new ideas to build a stronger community. Mayor-elect Horn is well known in Mission as a committed community advocate, and I know he will bring that same passion to Mission Council. I look forward to working with you, Paul, to address the current and future challenges in our growing region. This election especially, though, reminds me how blessed we are. We've got rivers, we've got lakes, we've got agriculture, we got ingenuity, and most importantly, we got a vibrant community and so much to be hopeful for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the people of Mission.
The
honourable member for Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
Speaker, I rise today to mark Ramadan, the holy month of fasting and revelation for those of the Muslim faith in my community of Vaudreuil-Soulanges. While activities may be virtual and iftar, the communal breaking of the fast, will only occur with family this year. The light is no less dampened by these challenges. Ramadan nous rappelle l'importance de
Ramadan reminds us of the importance of helping each other and showing compassion in our daily lives. With that in mind, I would like to mention the remarkable work of the Islamic Center in Vaudreuil-Soulanges. This is a charitable organization with many hard workers who are supporting our Muslim community in their social and faith needs. I'd like to thank the excellent workers there and the administrators of the centers.
And from my family to yours, I wish you a safe and healthy completion of your fasting and extend my sincerest wishes of peace and happiness. Ramadan Mubarak.
The honourable member for Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to recognize Mr. Delbert O'Brien for his many lifetime contributions that make the Ottawa Valley such a wonderful place to live. An esteemed member of the Ottawa Valley legal, political, business, and agricultural community, Mr. O'Brien's community contributions are many and varied. His recent nomination to the Ontario Agricultural Hall of Fame highlights his farming involvement and years of work with the Ontario Drainage Tribunal, which adjudicates disputes under the Ontario Drainage Act on the impact of water management on farm use. Del is the caliber of appointee to head up the new Canada Water Agency. As someone with much practical knowledge and common sense, when Del O'Brien speaks, people listen. Though retired for some years, Del is still very active in sharing his considerable institutional knowledge and years of experience, recently calling on for a revolution in rural planning policy. Congratulations, Del O'Brien.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Edmonton.
Mr. Speaker, in what country does the government control what people post on the internet, what they can see, and punishes content that does not match, quote, the government's vision, closed quote? China, Russia, and soon to be Canada, because that is precisely what the Liberals' government's Bill C-10 does. Comments about matching the government's vision are not those of a Chinese communist official, but that of the Minister of Heritage. Former CRTC Commissioner Peter Menzies has characterized this bill as a full-blown assault on freedom of expression and the foundations of democracy. It is no wonder this Prime Minister has expressed admiration for China's perfect dictatorship. This bill is Orwellian, it's undemocratic, it's un-Canadian, and it must be stopped.
Honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, last week another overdose advisory was issued in the Cowichan Valley by Island Health. Again, members of my community are at increased risk of overdose and death because of toxic street drugs. We've lost 498 people in BC in the first 3 months of 2021, a 48% increase from the same time last year. 498. These are devastating statistics demanding action from our federal government. However, when both the BC government and the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police request decriminalization, the Liberals respond with a declaration of principles. And when municipalities and health experts call for a national public health emergency declaration, the Liberals respond with a paltry $116 million over 2 years. It is exhausting having to continually raise this issue in the House of Commons, knowing the policy solutions are there and having the Liberals respond with half measures. We must do better.
La députée de Beauport.
The Honourable Member for Beauport, Côte-de-Beaupré, Île-d'Orléans, Charlevoix. Claude Jasmin, the multidisciplinary artist and author of the series of novels La Petite Patrie, has left us. These works covered many generations and was recently adapted into movies and comic strips. This was a remarkable artist who was part of defending the French language and Quebec independence. He received many prizes and also worked on the radio and on the television and on television along with his son and grandson. He was an uncompromising spirit, and he will continue to shine among the immortals of Quebec culture. On behalf of the entire Bloc Québécois, I offer our sincere condolences on the passing of Claude Jasmin, who fought for Quebec.
Member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, COVID has taken a toll on the mental health of Canadians. No matter where one comes from, no matter their age, race, religion, or sex, concerns with mental health can affect anyone at any time. With what has felt like the longest year in history, compounded by never-ending lockdowns and restrictions, Canadians are tired, and rightfully so. This is why Canada's Conservatives have a 5-point plan to secure the future of Canadians. Secure jobs, secure accountability, secure the country, secure our economy, and importantly, secure mental health. By boosting funding to provinces for mental health care, providing incentives to employers to provide mental health coverage to employees, and crucially, create a nationwide suicide prevention hotline to help those who need it most. Mr. Speaker, everyone is tiring in their life. Everyone has trying periods. But let's get this out of this crisis by securing our mental health and securing the future. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Malpac.
Mr. Speaker, my statement today was to wish all lobster fishermen safety and success as they sail out from the shores of Prince Edward Island on this, the scheduled opening day for the spring lobster fishery. The traps have been on the wharves for days, the boats well tuned and now loaded to the brim with buoys, traps, and gear, as fishermen and their crews expected to head out before dawn on what is known as setting day. However, Mr. Speaker, in the 2 lobster fishing zones adjacent to the island, Mother Nature had a different idea, and in the interest of safety, DFO delayed the season until Monday. So to fishermen, by Monday, may the seas be calm with but a gentle breeze, and as you set your traps on that day, may the catches be abundant and the prices strong as you arrive back to safe harbor. Islanders and those beyond are awaiting their first delicious feed of lobster from the clean, cool waters around our island shores. Again, we wish our fishermen a safe and prosperous fishing season.
Oral questions. Questions orales.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, yesterday's announcement by the Minister of Defence regarding the problem of sexual assaults in the military was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It's been 6 years now since the tabling of the Deschamps report, which outlined the problems in the military. The reality is that for 6 years, Mr. Speaker, the government has done nothing. This so-called feminist Prime Minister has failed to protect women. Will he admit it? The Honourable Minister. Or rather, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, the inquiry led by Ms. Arbour will allow us to move forward while taking account of the existing challenges. As Ms. Deschamps said, I applaud the nomination of Ms. Arbour. I think that her mandate will be broader than mine. This will not simply be a repetition of what I did. We need to do things properly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, the headlines this morning are unanimous. Yesterday's announcement is, quote, frustrating and cruel, a disappointment all around. It's just taking people for fools. Not only has the Prime Minister done nothing for the last 6 years on sexual misconduct issues in the Army, he also protected his boys' club. The Minister of Defence knew, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff knew. So how does he explain his government's complicity in the military's silence over sexual misconduct? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, this is what we know. Prime Minister Harper appointed General Vance in July 2015, even though he was under active inquiry within the Canadian Armed Forces. The Leader of the Opposition said that he had transmitted those allegations of sexual misconduct in July 2015. He said that Vance had been, quote, examined. A few days after his appointment, the investigation was suddenly abandoned. The officer in command said that he was under pressure. From whom, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fier. Mr. Speaker, we never expected much of the Liberal government, but at the very least, we expected them to act on the important issue of sexual assault in the military. With yesterday's announcement, the Prime Minister did not seek to protect women in the military. Rather, he sought to protect his Chief of Staff. The current situation is shameful and disgraceful. Will he let Katie Telford testify at the Defence Committee? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are focusing on survivors. We want to listen to them and learn from them. Members know that committees are independent, and the Defence Committee heard more than 6 hours of testimony from the Minister. While the Conservatives are playing political games, we are working hard to ensure that our women and men in the Army have a safer workplace. Thank you.
Well, member for Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, the government's recent budget failed to deliver the hope that Canadians had been waiting for. Instead of delivering an economic growth plan, the Prime Minister delivered an inflation plan. Bigger deficits, bigger debt, but no plan to manage the financial consequences of this pandemic. The best the Prime Minister could come up with was an enormous spending plan that is now beginning to stoke the fires of inflation. Does he not realize that this economic crisis is now his failure?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning, the Conservatives have been arguing that it was too expensive to support Canadians. You know, my neighbor who told me she could buy groceries because she had access to CERB when she lost her job, she doesn't think that these were too expensive. The business owners in my community who were able to keep their doors open and workers on payroll because of the supports that we advanced did not think this was too expensive. The Conservatives should acknowledge that in the time of need that we are experiencing, the Government of Canada should be there to support households and businesses so they can contribute to the economic recovery when COVID-19 is finally a thing of the past.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
Well, the Liberals have abandoned Canadians. They're now complaining about rising prices and the cost of living. Groceries, gasoline, housing, and now long-term interest rates are going up, and it's only going to get worse. In his budget, the Prime Minister could have invested wisely. Instead, he spent his stimulus money on election goodies, adding to the inflationary pressures driving up prices. Canadians are literally paying the price for his mismanagement of our country's finances. Does he not realize that this economic crisis is now his failure?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's incredulous that the Conservatives would describe election goodies as things like supporting women so they can take part in the economy when COVID-19 is over. It's ridiculous that they think investments that will grow the green economy and put people to work is something beyond what the government should be focused on. It's incredible to me that they think supporting young people after the impact COVID-19 has had on their job prospects is the wrong approach. Why do the Conservatives insist that supporting Canadians has been too expensive every step of the way?
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the backlog of immigration files for skilled workers in Quebec has reached 50,000. Yesterday I asked the Minister what he was doing to solve the problem, and he said that he had hired 56 more people, or rather accepted 56 more people this year than last year. Well, you're going to need more than that to deal with the backlog of 50,000 files. Seriously, what will the Minister do to solve this issue? Because it's not going to solve itself. The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a clarification. It's not 56 people. It's 56 people compared to the same period last year. And that's why we were able to welcome more than 7,000 new qualified permanent residents into Quebec. Our government is continuing to respect our targets so that Quebec should be able to get all of the skilled workers it needs. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, federal delays in immigration are not new. Right now, Ottawa has a backlog of 50,000 files for skilled workers in Quebec. In 2018, it was 37,000 files. In 2011, 33,000 files, which prompted the Immigration Committee to publish a report entitled Reducing Canada's Immigration Backlog and Wait Times. In 2007, the wait times for skilled workers in Ottawa was 63 months. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. What will the minister do to fix decades of neglect? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud of the work that our government is doing on immigration. We have made a lot of progress while working with the government of Quebec. Every week, I work with my counterpart there to move forward on immigration issues. There is still work to do, but we are continuing to work collaboratively to ensure that our immigration system continues to serve Quebecers and Canadians. The Honourable Member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals love to present themselves as champions of the French language, but in real life, federal agencies don't even have to report their progress in complying with the Official Languages Act. An act, by the way, that the minister promised to reform, but still hasn't. They've been in power for 6 years, and still nothing. Radio silence. Francophone rights are being trampled in the public service, and Laurentian University is slashing its French language programs. When will Liberals make the protection of French a priority from coast to coast to coast? The Honourable Minister. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague for raising this issue. I'm very proud to be able to answer the question like him. I'm a Quebecer, I'm proud of the French language, and I'm proud of the role that the Canadian government has played in supporting Francophones across the country. I'm also very proud of the work done by my colleague, the Minister for Official Languages, not only on this file, but also more broadly in order to reform our measures and programs to support Francophones across the country, as was done, for example, for the Francophone University in Ontario.
Island, Powell River.
The Liberals have intentionally broken their promise to veterans to eliminate the marriage after 60 clause. Created in the early 1900s, this clause blocks the partners of veterans and RCMP, if they marry after 60, of ever having access to their pension after death. Some veterans are refusing part of their pension right now to support their partner in the future, which means they're living in deep poverty. It's a very simple fix, Mr. Speaker, and a feminist government would do it. Will the minister commit to finally eliminating this clause today, or will Canada continue to punish veterans for finding love after 60?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my colleague for an important question. We have been working with Statistics Canada and the Canadian Institute for Military and Veteran Health Research to gather information about these survivors. Over the coming months, we will use the results of this research to inform how best to support these survivors. The well-being of our veterans and their families is always our #1 priority. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
During the Great Global Recession, the Harper government refused to fund spending through money printing at the Bank of Canada. The result was we ended up having better growth than the US, better than the G7, better than the average of the advanced economies. Fast forward to present, the government is funding its spending through money printing at the Bank of Canada, leading to the worst economic growth of any government since the Great Depression, and now, predictably, inflation. As Canadians struggle to find work, they're seeing food, fuel, and housing prices skyrocket. Why is this government imposing an inflation tax right in the middle of a pandemic crisis?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member was at the same Finance Committee meeting that I attended last week, or earlier this week, with the governor of the Bank of Canada, who dispelled the very myth he continues to perpetuate. I don't know what it is about the Conservatives. During an unprecedented public health and economic emergency, they refuse to acknowledge that the government of Canada should step up and be there for Canadians in their time of need. My message to anyone listening today is that if you have been impacted financially or from a public health point of view, this government will be there for you no matter what it takes, as long as it takes.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Yeah, it's been right there standing next to people with its hands in their pockets. As they walk down the grocery aisle, this government's inflation tax is raising the price of meat by 5 to 7% this year, the price of bakery by 4 to 6%, and the price of vegetables by 5 to 7%. Real estate is up 40%. Great news if you own a mansion, terrible news if you're a working class renter struggling towards the dream of home ownership. Why is this government hitting Canadians with an inflation tax right in the middle of a pandemic?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member accuses our government of having our hands in the pockets of Canadians. We have put through CERB direct income supports into the pockets of 9 million middle-class Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We have from the very beginning been supporting Canadians with programs, not just like CERB, but if you go back several years, the Canada Child Benefit, which stopped sending childcare checks to millionaires so we could leave 9 out of 10 families better off. Every time we put forward measures that help ordinary Canadians, the Conservatives can be counted on to vote against them. They continue to oppose our measures to support Canadians through this pandemic when we know they need support more than ever.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Wow, is this guy ever out of touch? He better take a drive 25 minutes to here, a community called Riverside South, where a working class family recently reported they were outbid trying to buy a house 9 times. The last time by $400,000 over asking price. Working class people can't find a place to live. And he says, oh, we'll send you a $2,000 check for a $400,000 bid over asking price on a home. People can't find places to live. They can't afford food. Why is this government hitting the most vulnerable with an inflation tax right in the middle of a crisis?
The Honourable Parliament Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, it's extraordinary for the honourable member of all people to accuse me of being out of touch. It was our government that advanced supports like CERB during people's time of need that allowed them to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. It was our government that during their time of need, we advanced programs like the wage subsidy that kept more than 5 million workers on the payroll so they could retain a connection to their employer and access to their benefits. It was our government that advanced the emergency business account, which has helped nearly 1 million businesses keep their doors open during their time of need. Our message...
Order. 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 This can't become a debate while question period is going on virtually. I'd ask members to listen and hear what other members and questions are put in the course of question period, and let's stick to that. We'll now go to the honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday, President Biden addressed the U.S. Congress and stated his Buy America measures will be tough, and any potential exemptions to it have been, quote, strenuously limited. Buy America and the Buy American executive order are a serious concern because the Liberals have still not received assurances that Canada will be exempt. Can the Minister of International Trade confirm that Canadian businesses and workers will be exempt from these strenuous Buy America rules?
Honourable Minister.
I want to thank the honourable member for that question. I want to assure Canadian businesses and workers that we are absolutely standing up for them, absolutely working for them, and we are actively engaged with our American partners. I raise this issue with the president, as well as with my colleague, the new U.S. Trade Representative. We're going to continue to work in the interest of our Canadian businesses, just as we have over the last 5 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what has changed? CBC reported in January that the first phone call between the Prime Minister and U.S. President was warm, friendly, and collegial, according to a senior government official. The official reportedly said, quote, "Many of the priorities are aligned. He's got a good rapport with us and wants to work with us, as we do with him." Well, here we are, about to enter May, and the U.S. stance on Buy America has gotten even stronger. Can the minister explain why we're moving backwards?
The Honourable Minister.
To the contrary, we have a plan, a roadmap between Canada and the U.S. We continue to work with the United States on building backs for the benefit of Canadian businesses and workers, both in the United States and in Canada. I want to assure Canadians that should there be any efforts to expand or introduce new domestic content requirements, that we will absolutely ensure that that does not apply to Canada or affect our Canadian supply chain. We're an integrated market where we have integrated supply chains, and we will continue to work with our American partners.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, President Biden's comments clearly show the U.S. is not backing down from Buy American measures. In January, a readout from the Prime Minister's office stated, quote, "The Prime Minister and President agreed to consult closely to avoid measures that may constrain bilateral trade, supply chains, and economic growth." How's this working for us? It's obviously not. Will the minister get serious on the file, get on the phone, and secure an exemption for Canadian exporters?
The Honourable Minister.
I want to assure the honourable member that I and the government are working at all levels with our American partners. They are our largest trading partner. Our supply chains are incredibly connected. We will continue to work with the Americans to ensure that we reinforce this deeply connected and mutually beneficial economic relationship so that we can grow middle-class jobs here in Canada as well as in the United States. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The federal government has jeopardized the crab fishing season by closing 37% of the capacity at the Cap-au-Mel port. Lobster season is starting this week and absolutely nothing has changed. There's still a 37% closure. There's no work, no plan, no compensation. And above all, no leadership from the member for Gaspésie-les-Îles de la Madeleine. When will the federal government intervene in Cap-au-Mel to resolve the situation on behalf of the entire fishing industry? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we understand how important access to wharfs and fishing facilities are for fishers. This is a top priority for us. We want to make sure that the issues at Cap-au-Mel are taken care of. We're working with our colleagues in transport to do just that, and I'm happy to work with that member directly to bring her up to date with all the good work that is happening.
The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Mr. Speaker, that's not enough. The fishing industry wants action, and they've been waiting for decades. Right now, not only are they concerned about this season, they're worried about how the harbour might deteriorate to the point where the 2022 season would be compromised. Magdalen Islanders want the studies on the state of the harbour to be public. They want an independent second opinion. They want federal compensation for their losses. They want a federal administrator on site. In short, they want a plan. And right now, there isn't one. What is Ottawa going to do to solve this problem? And what will it do for Magdalen Islanders? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we have been working diligently to make sure that there are alternative facilities available so that fishers can have access to facilities so that they can continue to fish and have access. We understand how important fishing facilities are for coastal communities, especially in this case. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans is working diligently and directly with Transport Canada to resolve this issue, and I look forward to providing continued updates to that member and to all fishers that are affected in that region.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, once again the Liberals are showing how incompetent they are when it comes to pandemic management. On Wednesday, we learned that they were going to make people who had been on holiday returning to Canada eligible for EI. This is the same situation that we saw with the CERB in January. Paying government money to people who break health measures doesn't make sense. Now, why did the minister authorize this completely ridiculous directive? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. No one should be traveling right now. EI is there for people who lost their job or can't work through no fault of their own. Taking a vacation against clear government advice is a choice. We are focused on supporting workers who have lost their jobs, are sick themselves, or who need to take time off to look after loved ones. That is our focus, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, a TVA journalist had to make a phone call to get the government to back off. Now, someone who left the country and came back and immediately resumed their job would have been eligible. So on Friday, they're saying that this is no longer the case. But this is completely ridiculous, Mr. Speaker. How could the minister believe from the very beginning that it was ever a good idea to have holiday seekers get paid? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to reiterate, no one should be traveling right now for non-essential reasons. EI is there for people who lost their job or are unable to work for reasons outside their control. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Northumberland, Peterborough South.
Mr. Speaker, today is tax filing deadline, a day dreaded by millions of Canadians. Despite the third wave of a pandemic, nearly 1 million taxpayers locked out of the CRA online portal, record wait times to contact CRA, and calls from millions of Canadians, tax professionals, and even opposition parties. This government has stubbornly refused to extend the tax filing deadline. Will this government, who took 2 years to file a budget of their own, give Canadians a much-needed break and extend the tax filing deadline?
The Honourable Minister.
Stands that this tax season is stressful for Canadians, and we will continue to be there for them every step of the way. An update to the Canada.ca website temporarily disabled the website web links necessary to access CRA portals. Let me be clear, at no point was CRA IT infrastructure seriously compromised, and the glitch was very brief. The situation is now resolved, and Canadians can access to those services is restored.
The Honourable Member for Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
Mr. Speaker, the government's response to our ask to extend the tax deadline is absolutely tone deaf. We're not talking about a glitch on a website. We're talking about millions of Canadians that are being told to stay at home. They can't complete their taxes by the deadline. They're going to miss out on benefits. There's going to be gaps and continued chaos. They call CRA. They're on the phone for 4 hours. They ask for things to get mailed to them. They're not even here yet, and the deadline is here. Mr. Speaker, our ask is very clear. Why won't the government show some compassion and common sense and extend the tax deadline to June 30th to give people the relief that they deserve and need?
Honourable Minister or Parliament Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our government understands that this tax season is stressful for Canadians, and we will continue to be there for them every step of the way. In February, we announced the recipients of emergency and recovery benefits would be eligible for interest relief if they file their 2020 income tax returns. The CRA also has strong taxpayer relief provisions in place where taxpayers can be relieved of penalties and interest if these are incurred for reasons beyond their control. These measures will ensure that Canadians who need help this tax season will receive it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Edmonton, Strathcona.
This week in Alberta, we witnessed overtly racist lies from Jason Kenney, who blamed Indigenous people for the rapid rise of COVID cases in Wood Buffalo. Indigenous people in Alberta need help to fight this virus, not the blame from Jason Kenney's failures. Indigenous leaders like Chief Alan Adams of the Athabasca Chippewan First Nation have called for more safety measures to stop the rapid spread of COVID-19, but they've been denied. When will the federal government step in and get vaccines into the areas hardest hit, like Wood Buffalo?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Honourable Member for her question. And I too
feel that those comments by the Premier of Alberta cast aspersions on Indigenous peoples in the province who have actually been at the forefront of stepping up for vaccines. I'm proud of what our government has done. Their vaccines are underway in 614 Indigenous and territorial communities. And with vaccine production ramping up over the next month, I look forward to more and more Indigenous peoples being vaccinated here in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have abandoned startups and new businesses when they need help the most. Jennifer, who owns True Movement, Dance, Fitness, and Yoga in my riding, had just signed a lease and had invested over $30,000 in improvements when the pandemic began and has since been left without any support, no rent support, no wage subsidy, no help at all because of her business started after the pandemic began. But she, just like every other business owner, has had to close her doors to protect public health. With nothing for startups in budget 2021, will the government admit they failed new businesses and immediately expand their support programs to help people like Jennifer?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the honourable member that we know how difficult it is for small businesses as they continue to contribute in this fight against COVID-19. We have been with businesses right from day one, ensuring that they are supported. Budget 2021 has expanded existing supports for small businesses. This also includes more accessibility through the Canada Small Business Finance Program that will cover startup costs, digital adoption costs, and we are also going to be lowering credit card fees for small businesses as well. Our work isn't finished. We'll continue to work to assist our small businesses through this very difficult time.
Honourable Member for Markham-Stouffville.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard from many people in my riding of Markham-Stouffville who agree that weapons specifically designed for military purposes have no place in our communities. Despite this, the leader of the Conservative Party has made numerous promises to the gun lobby to return military-style rifles to our streets and revoke enhanced background checks. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness please inform this House what we are doing to protect Canadians?
The Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for Markham-Stouffville for the important question and for her tireless advocacy to promote safer communities in her part of the country and across the land. Tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary since weapons designed for military use were prohibited, since we moved past thoughts and prayers and acted. Of the 5 countries that have prohibited these rifles, none have experienced mass shootings this year, the other countries averaging 1 mass shooting per day. Our plan to protect our communities is working, but we need to finish the job. With our new legislation, we will complete the prohibition and ensure that these rifles never re-enter our communities again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Fundy Royal.
Mr. Speaker, my office has heard from many New Brunswickers who are very concerned about this Liberal government's plan to censor internet content. This bill will have a chilling effect on local content creation, something that is increasingly important in rural communities where residents use social media to share news and share their stories. Will the minister do the right thing and abandon this Orwellian plan?
The Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives appear to have chosen to take the side of social media web giants over the interests of our artists. Those are our neighbors who work in an important cultural and economic industry in our country. Individuals who post to social media are excluded. Content is not moderated. The amendment to the Broadcasting Act would require social media companies who make money acting like a broadcaster to be treated like a broadcaster. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, is treated like a duck. Why does the Conservatives want special treatment for social media web giants?
The Honourable Member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
Bill C-10 limits the freedom of speech of the Canadian people. Many immigrants and refugees come here to enjoy freedom and liberty that they did not have the luxury of back home. This bill gives power to a big government institution which can use its power to silence and oppress marginalized groups online. Why won't this Liberal government stay out of the lives of consenting Canadians and let people live free from the hands of big government?
The Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, the Broadcasting Act regulates broadcasters like CTV, CBC, and Chorus as we have known it for the past 30 years. The Conservatives are protesting that we are extending those same rules to web giants, including social media giants like Facebook, if they act like a broadcaster. The Broadcasting Act does not moderate content. It didn't before, and it won't now. The Act would require that any company acting in a similar manner as our Canadian broadcasters has to contribute similarly. Why are the Conservatives seeking special treatment for foreign-owned web giants over our Canadian cultural sector and broadcasters?
The Honourable Member for Charleswood St. James, Assiniboia Headingley.
Mr. Speaker, B'nai B'rith Canada reports that over 7 anti-Semitic incidents occurred every single day in Canada last year. Jews were shot at with pellet guns, and a student in Winnipeg was attacked and told that Jews should go back to the ovens. The Prime Minister has said over and over again that he'll stand up to anti-Semitism whenever and wherever it occurs. But this is the 5th consecutive year we've seen record numbers. When will he take action to end this disturbing rise of anti-Semitic attacks in Canada?
Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our government takes anti-Semitism very seriously, and we've always stood up against it. We've put in place an anti-racism action plan that specifically outlines a definition that is internationally accepted with respect to anti-Semitism. We've beefed up the funding for the Security Infrastructure Program to protect synagogues and other places of Jewish cultural significance, and we are taking action to combat online hate. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for West Nova.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Budget 2021 proposes to provide $300 million on a cash basis over the next 2 years to Fisheries and Oceans Canada to repair, renew, and replace small craft harbors. This amount is ridiculous, knowing that in Western Nova Scotia, almost $500 million is needed to address deferred maintenance and safety upgrades. Fishers across our country have and continue to work tirelessly to contribute directly to their communities. They deserve wharves that are safe and respond to their modern needs. Can the minister tell me how much will be allocated to the ports that needed in West Nova?
The Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, our government understands how important small craft harbors are all across our great country, from the West Coast to the East Coast to that member's riding. That's why we have consistently contributed and invested in our small craft harbors. While the last government took that funding away, we have contributed over $300 million just in this budget, accumulating to more than $1 billion of investments to make sure that people on the East Coast, including in that member's riding, have safe access to wharves so that they can pursue their livelihoods.
Mr. Speaker, the government withdrew from Switch Health the management of testing of temporary foreign workers because they couldn't offer services in French and caused delays. But today, Switch Health is in charge of testing the rest of the population crossing the border, and it's a fiasco. How can a business that was unable to serve 500 workers serve all of Quebec? When will the government replace Switch Health in Quebec? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
We agree that delays or not being able to provide service in both official languages is unacceptable. That's precisely why Health Canada and the Public Health Agency has moved forward with a new provider. We are going to continue to work with Switch Health to address any additional concerns, but make no mistake, Mr. Speaker, we won't hesitate to act, and we are constantly looking for additional providers to provide this service in a timely and effective manner.
Mr. Speaker, Quebecers are being quarantined for up to a month because of Switch Health. They have to use Switch Health. It's the only recognized provider of screening tests. But Switch Health can't offer services in French, can't pick up the tests quickly, doesn't offer service on weekends or in remote areas, and worst of all, they somehow find a way to lose the tests and people have to start all over. Switch Health doesn't work for Quebec. When will the government replace Switch Health? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite doesn't take yes for an answer. We agree that service levels are expected. We attempted to work with Switch Health to rectify these issues. However, we decided to move forward with a new provider in Quebec. We want to ensure effective, fast testing in both official languages, and that's precisely why we move forward on making a change. We are going to continue to make sure that all Canadians have access to safe and effective testing in whichever official language of their choice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Mr. Speaker, among my constituents are Amish and Mennonite families. They need clarity on the hurdles they face returning to Canada after being in the U.S. for compassionate reasons or returning to Canada for a family illness. Nearly all aspects of travel into Canada require some sort of phone app or internet access, which these Canadians don't have. After being bounced from CBSA to PHAC, the federal COVID hotline, to Ontario Telehealth without answers, can someone tell me what procedures are in place for all Canadians to ensure that they have the necessary information to request quarantine exemptions for compassionate reasons without internet or phone access?
Honourable Minister or Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question. And of course, we understand that there are some compassionate needs for travel. However, let me clarify that it is crucially important that during this time, Canadians do not travel. In the event that they do have to, there are supports available to clarify the rules. But Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we follow the public health guidelines, ensure strict measures at the border, stopping the spread of this virus, and ultimately our goal is to save lives. We will continue to put in place communications and support to make sure all Canadians understand the rules. But Mr. Speaker, our fundamental goal is to ensure Canadians are safe and we stop the spread of this virus.
La députée de Portneuf, Jacques Cartier.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Il y a plusieurs...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Several agricultural producers and agribusinesses in my riding are impatiently waiting to welcome temporary foreign workers. Security at the border is paramount, and we have to be careful because of new variants. However, these essential workers need to be able to enter the country quickly. Our agricultural producers are very worried because they need access to this labor force now. The production cycle of fruits and vegetables can't be put on hold. Can the minister assure our entrepreneurs that they will be able to welcome their workers very soon? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government recognizes the integral role foreign workers play in Canada's agriculture and seafood sector. We have streamlined requirements and introduced priority processing for applications and work permits in these sectors. We have also launched a temporary measure that allows workers already in Canada to start a new job while their work permit application is being processed. While COVID-19 has presented unique challenges to Canada's job market, certainly, we continue to support workers, employers, and our provincial partners to ensure the continued strength of Canada's food sector and supply chain. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
La députée de Beauce.
The Honourable Member for Beauce.
Monsieur le Président, le gouvernement continue de recycler ses points de discussion.
Mr. Speaker, the government continues to recycle its talking points about temporary foreign workers. Flights coming from hot zones are an issue. Many businesses in my riding are waiting for test results that aren't being processed quickly enough. This creates additional costs for businesses and farmers. When will the three departments involved work together and find a real solution? And who's going to take on the extra costs being shouldered by the proprietors?
The
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our government has taken a number of important steps to ensure the safe arrival and well-being of temporary foreign workers. Along with the mandatory 14-day quarantine, we have introduced more stringent pre- and post-travel requirements. The mandatory isolation support for temporary foreign workers program is an important part of our efforts to protect the health and safety of workers, employers, and communities. With $84.4 million invested in this program, employers are receiving support to manage the costs associated with the mandatory quarantines. We remain committed to ensuring the health and safety of temporary foreign workers, employers, and communities, and we are committed to making sure that temporary foreign workers arrive safely and in a timely fashion.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Centre.
Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 containment led to an increase in gender-based violence across the country. From the start of the pandemic, frontline organizations have struggled to meet the increased demand for services. And so I was glad to see Budget 2021 increase funding to support these groups. But to be effective in ending gender-based violence, we must consider men and boys. Can the Minister of Women and Gender Equality tell us what support is available for them?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable colleague for her advocacy for women and LGBTQ2 folks here at home and around the world. The budget includes more than $3 billion to address and prevent gender-based violence in all its forms, and we have the partnerships across the country to move forward. Take Rowan's House in Alberta. With a grant from our government, they've created a shelter for men who have harmed the women in their lives. Men leave the home, so women and children don't have to. Through this voluntary program, men learn to accept responsibility for their behavior and build healthier relationships. Increased investments for women's organizations and additional funds to engage men and boys will save lives.
For St. Albert, Edmonton.
Mr. Speaker, in what has been characterized as a full-blown assault on freedom of expression, the Liberals amended Bill C-10 to give the government the power to control the social media content of everyday Canadians to ensure that it matches, quote, the government's vision, closed quote. This is nothing short of a rebellion. Why is it that when it comes to freedom of expression, this government's approach is that it can be damned?
Honourable Minister or Parliament Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. The Broadcasting Act does not moderate content. It's about how broadcasters contribute to the creation of Canadian content, the discoverability of that content, and the rules of that nature. People who post to social media are specifically excluded from being considered broadcasters. Social media companies that make money by acting like a broadcaster are not excluded. May I ask why the Conservatives want to create an exemption to protect social media web giants from contributing their fair share?
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies.
Mr. Speaker, last week I had a disturbing phone call from Ben, who just returned to Canada after doing paramedic work overseas. Gabriella, his pregnant wife and 11-month-old daughter, had to stay at one of the government's quarantine hotels. After paying thousands of dollars, the hotel refused to provide food for their baby daughter, only offering her oatmeal and then suggesting his wife share the deep-fried food they gave her. Thankfully, friends were able to drop off some baby food. Why is this government treating returning Canadians so poorly? Why?
Honourable Minister or Parliament Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question. And first, let me acknowledge and thank the member for raising the work that his constituent has done, and we thank them for that. Certainly, when it comes to quarantine hotels, we expect the hotel providers to provide an adequate level of service. I take the comments that have been raised, we will take it back, and we will continue to work with these providers to ensure that they are providing this level of service. But Mr. Speaker, again, the reasons for the quarantine, mandatory quarantine, are to ensure that Canadians are safe, we stop the spread of this virus, and we save lives. But I will absolutely raise these concerns and ensure they are addressed with the provider.
The Honourable Member for Sturgeon River Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, the latest Liberal budget has revealed yet another Liberal broken promise. In 2019, the Liberals promised to support communities where coal has been phased out with a $150 million infrastructure fund. In today's budget, I found no reference to their promise to these communities. The Liberals are leaving communities and the families that live in them behind. Why did the government break their promise to coal communities and not include the $150 million infrastructure fund that they promised?
The Honourable Minister or Parliament Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I live in a province that continues to rely on coal, and I want to thank our Premier for his commitment to accelerate the phase out of this this form of energy usage. With respect to the use of coal, I'd point the honourable member to the fact that there, in fact, are supports being administered today through regional development agencies to help communities that are phasing out coal. I'll look forward to continuing our work to support communities as they transition to a clean future. Indeed, there are very few things that are even close to being that important.
The Honourable Member for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, British Columbians are concerned about the steep decline of wild Pacific salmon.
When the people of West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country elected me, they expected me and this government to take action to protect and restore this iconic species. With this in mind, can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans please update this House on what our government is doing to protect and restore wild Pacific salmon?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
I would like to thank my friend for this question and for his leadership on this issue. I'd also like to thank my colleagues in British Columbia who worked so hard to advocate for our iconic wild Pacific salmon. Through Budget 2021, our government is investing an unprecedented $647 million to both protect and restore our wild salmon stocks. This is a historic investment at a crucial time. Working together with our provincial and Indigenous partners, we can ensure that wild salmon grow and prosper on the BC coast for generations to come.
Honourable Member for Esquimalt, Saanich Sooke.
This month, on the eve of the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, the Chabad Center in Victoria was defaced with anti-Semitic threats, clearly a hate crime. This week saw the release of a report on anti-Semitic incidents in Canada, which showed another annual spike of 18%, the fifth consecutive annual increase. Mr. Speaker, Canadians have been without an important and effective tool in fighting hatred since the repeal of Section 13 of the Canadian Human Rights Act by the Conservatives, the section that allowed filing complaints about hate incidents with the Human Rights Commission. When will this government table legislation to restore Section 13 so we can move forward in the fight against hatred of all kinds?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague for the question. Anti-Semitism and all forms of hate have no place in Canada. Our government is unwavering in its commitment to diversity and inclusion, including tackling all forms of systemic racism and discrimination that is informed by lived experience. Mr. Speaker, 85 projects worth over $15 million have been selected through a call for proposals to support the Anti-Racism Action Program and its objectives, which will help combat all forms of racism and discrimination, and we will continue to be unwavering in our fight against racism, anti-Semitism, and all forms of hate.
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Students and young people in Canada have been greatly impacted by the pandemic. Mental health challenges and dropout rates have been rising in universities, colleges, and trade schools, and students continue to be crushed by debt. Northern European countries have built their knowledge-based economies on free post-secondary education. They invest in their people and have a highly educated workforce. Will the government make tuition-free post-secondary education a pillar of the post-COVID recovery plan?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the honourable member for his question and for his advocacy on this important issue. Young Canadians and students must be at the centre of our recovery, not only to help them rebound today, but to invest in their future in our economy. That's why through Budget 2021, we're investing $4.1 billion to make student debt easier to pay down and to provide direct support to students who need it most. This includes waiving the interest on federal student loans for an additional year, enhancing the repayment assistance plan, doubling the Canada Student Grants for 2 more years, and extending disability supports. Mr. Speaker, we're proud that our response represents one of the largest youth support packages in the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And that will conclude question period for today. Tabling of documents, dépôt de documents. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 32.2, I have the honour to table in both official languages 2 treaties. The first is entitled Annex 5 to the Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, done at Bonn on October 17, 1991, and amendment to Annex 2 to the Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, done at Baltimore on April 6 to 17, 2009. Second treaty I will table is the final acts of the World Radio Communication Conference of the International Telecommunication Union, done at Sharm el-Sheikh on November 22nd, 2019.